New all-in-one coffee maker concept. That is right. New all-in-one coffee maker concept. I was like, Drew Barrymore made a thing. Yeah, okay. And then James Hoffman critiqued some of this. All right. Okay. So how about let me just do this? This is real simple, okay? This is called a fucking roller. It's tapered. It's not really. It's technically just a tube, okay? And then it's tapered, right? And so then you feed it in. There's these things called breaker fucking things, whatever, right? And that that's just a tube with some teeth on it. It's a little thicker diameter. You just onto the sides, and then it goes crunchity crunch for these other on the inside of the tapered one. And then it goes into that, and then it just rolls slowly until it comes out to the in between the two tubes because it gets closer or further away, right? Right. Right. What's below this? Okay, what's below this? Nothing but this thing called a basin. This basin, like any other basin. By name, it's just a hold filled pot. By the way, it spins somewhat, a little agitationally, kind of like a washer and a washer dryer combo. We're entering the scary door, Twilight Zone. I don't even know where that's coming from. Anyways, moving on. Behold, it has flattened the bed out. It does a little, clockwise and counterclockwise, real quick, and then it goes woo, the same way, and then it goes right, again, and then it's all pretty even, right? And it goes up a little bit, and it goes dunk, and it goes down, and it spins it a little bit. It does that. What does this do? It tumbles the grains, distributing them quite evenly. Behold these reusable baskets. Yes, they are reusable baskets. Oh no! Oh, with cloth? You have cloth? You've got cloth on the outside? Clothity cloth? With the micron filtrationies? Maybe I can get some of these clothy micron filtrationies because they're synthetic fibers. Instead of cotton, I use synthetic. It's always the same ones, though. There's this one I saw way back in the day that's like super strong, so much stronger than steel, apparently. And it's supposed to be used in like boat rigging or some shit, but it's a synthetic fiber, right? Anyways, point is, they're really thin strands, and as a result, you can weave them extra, extra fine. And they're just fine going into a dishwasher or just having an ultrasonic cleaner clean them off. So there's that. Not because they're reusable regular basket filters, and they're fairly porous. Then I have an ultra fine reusable filter that's on the outside of it. Why the outside? Well, that one's pretty easy. I want them to flow through pretty quickly. What I found is, the longer I can just steep this fucker and then agitate it. You thought I was done? Oh, no, 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 no. No, you're stupid. No, it's okay, though. A lot of people are stupid. It's all right. It's okay. I'm stupid at times. I'm just less often stupid. That's how that all seems to work? Anyways, remember that tapered, like fucking grinder thing that I was talking about? It's conical, right? Well, no. No, because okay, tapered would imply that I don't have a roller at the bottom that this seats into, so it goes into this little crack and then it has to roll around, and like that's a toroidal ring, like like the Sonic the Hedgehog ring stuff, and then like that's the coffee bean that goes in, then it rolls through, and then of course then it has to come out somewhere, right? It's conical, but it's more of a roller than an actual conical. Anyways, now to move on to that, then closes up somewhat, In reality, it just rises up and then it goes over off to the side. And then I have a very nice little evenly distributed in kind of no real way here. I'm not that guy. I'm a weirdo guy. You're gonna love this. Guarantee it. It's a high pressure spraying apparatus in the center with like little drippers along the side, along with a bunch of high pressure sprayers all along where the cloth filters are that are angled inwards towards a given direction so it swirls things. And then a little bit up at the top too, but angled down instead of just straight horizontal, angled down, then off in the direction. This gives it a massive tumbling action as it's also doing the washer combo of spinning and agitating it in a big steeping French press like immersion brewing style. Luckily, since we already have that program in washers, and we already have all of the heating technology and all the little things called, I can measure water temperature with this thing called a fucking thermostat or whatever the fuck else you want to call them. There are thermocouples, there's thermometers. I mean, there's so many different versions. Go with all of them. I don't give a fuck. How about just the thermometers? Let's just do that one. We'll meter the thermos. Anyways, it's now sealed, of course, because I'm that guy. Remember, I'm the weirdo. Remember that steam? Yeah, I don't want that steam going nowhere. That steam's going right back in. It's staying in that bad boy. Right? Anyways, like the Nespresso prod, except it's a bigger basket here, that you can automatically put in any amount of beans. Has a measuring device in it. Shocker. What is this? It's a burr, and then this amount of pressure on a piezo. You know what I mean? You have scales. You know how a scale works? Behold, it's now able to measure the amount of beans in the basket that are in there. You want to know the amount of particle size distribution? That's pretty easy, as a given amount of turning of the outside for how far away and how close in it is. You know, like any other bird, right? But it's like, no, 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 no. You just said something weird to me. And it's like, yes, I'm sure I did. I said I was a weirdo. I'm pushing steam through this fucking burr. You know that, right? Wait, what? Yes, with my beans. Why? Is that not satisfactory to anti-static your bitch ass up? Okay. Anyways, it's now good to go in a sense. I don't want it to get hot. Yeah, that's the thing. Now, steam, when it's very, very low amounts of pressure, is still steam at a very low heat. That's right, it has a vacuum pump, which will then turn into this thing called a pump. As it goes over this thing called a boiling recirculator, or whatever version of that shit that you want to call it. It's effectively just, it has a heating element, it boils, the boiling water goes back into the water that is trying to boil, and then it then has a small amount of the water go through the pump. And then it will then be a certain temperature. Because you can overheat it and then allow for pressure to build up, helping the pump out, and also allow for that to mitigate and change your end result heat at where the input of the water agitational area is. for the immersion brew that is going on. That is very good, of course, for you to get great results. Now, the basic process is just the same as the washing machine. Effectively, a third to a half of the amount of water that you want for the ratio you're looking for. It agitates it quite significantly, it lets it steep for a little bit and saturate a given area, like in a regular immersion. But it's half, and then I will add in the next half. And then I will do that and agitate it again, and let it steep for the remainder of the amount of time I wish to have it do that for. Now, because something moves slightly out of the way, called the burr, it just rotated. Oh, and because we already have the programming for a washing machine, we already know how pumps work, we already have boilers, we have all of this already, and we can change like a mocha pot the amount of pressure inside of the basket to change brewing pressures like an espresso. That's right, we can go immersion brewery style 9 bar! That's right, the number 9 and a B, Bravo, A, Alpha, R, Richter scale because earthquake. I got some people with that one. Made them laugh so I made them laugh so hard on that one. There's no way I didn't. Anyways, that's right. 9 bar of pressure. That's right. As an immersion brew with agitation going on. Fun times. Honestly. And so it can then be released at the 9 bars into any cup that you wish through the cloth filter of the micron levels of variety, through the reusable basket, of course. Yes, it is a reusable cloth filter that is micron woven. Of course, of synthetic fiber. If you skip to this point and you didn't listen, suck it up, go back. Same thing with the reusable basket. They're flat bottoms now. We don't do this weird shit. We do flat bottoms here. Well, I never. Yes, but they're not the regular flat bottoms with the curved part here. See, that's extraction area, and we want that actually. And so like this has to be a different type of flat bottom than what you're normally probably used to. Um, so there's that, because that curved area is actually extraction area, but then we have to also curve the vertical side a little bit as well. So it's a little bit more like a pan or a skillet sort of look, right? And the result of structure that's there, but it's reusable, which means it's metal. It's simple as it gets. Really pretty easy to make that. Not hard. Same thing with a woven micron. I mean, we have cloth K&N filters that go down to micron levels of filtration. I'm sure they're oiled, but not all of them are, and they don't need to be for every one of them. And yes, they are able to be ultrasonically cleaned, which means you can more quickly and more readily have this available to you again. And they'll last a really long time because heat's fine, pressure's fine, it can handle that. Behold, this costs very little to make. $99? My buttocks. $91. It's actually $90.99, except if you're in America, then it is exactly the amount with taxes in every single state and all the things to make it so that way it is $91 exactly after all of that is said and done. Even shipping and handling, if you have to. So have fun, because actually it's that cheap. For what it's worth, milling that is not that hard because, I mean, you don't really need to do that. You don't need to mill that. They already come in like effectively a shape like that for the roller part, and then the burrs are effectively really easy to make as well because they're effectively just straight diagonal, cuts and drills. You can effectively cast them and then kind of forge them a little bit for hardened steel or something. I was gonna just use forgeable aluminum because it's hard still, and then use like a plating method for hardened steel, right? Because that's still doable and it's still hard enough, and I can still ultimately put in very high carbon steel and then just effectively heat it up and forge weld it on top and plate it with a little bit of plasmification type tech that is pretty easy, but that all sounds like a lot of money to some people, and so my basic rule of thumb turned into it's a mold of steel, and I hit it hard and quench it did. I sinded because it's mostly just really smooth stuff, except for these very small parts. Um, these over there, and then I was all like, zap, and then and behold, they're welded. And now they're done. And then same thing for it goes out of the way. We have seals that can do 9 bar. No. And we have pressure gauges that know about. We have temperature, and we even have the programming in many of the washing machines already as like basic level open source programming. We already have boiler technology. All of this is extraordinarily cheap as fuck. Behold, the basket with the woven stuff, right? The basket, yeah, it's just a slightly bent piece of steel, more or less, and then I put some holes that are pretty easy to do that with some lasers and some finishing, polishing effectively, and then yeah, a cloth is we've had weaving technology, I think, for a really long time. And this is a synthetic fiber, which I mean, polycarbonate blends have existed really long periods of time, but this isn't polycarbonate, and this handles higher temperatures and heats and pressures and tensile strengths. Great, because of course it's going to spin and whatnot. And now that's the thing. Now it comes out as a pressure, but you don't always need to have it come out as a pressure. It can just come out as like a AIO switch, right? But it can also get spun out. It can also be coming out at pressure. So you have multiple brewing profiles that you can set up how you want them to be, all for exactly $91. Unless you're in any place that happens to display the final amount of money you will pay at the register after all is said and done with taxes and shit, in which case it is $90.99. That's right, they get a penny off for being good boys and girls who do it right. They're not like you trash heathens who never tell anyone until the very end. You fucktards, I hate you. Anyways, the new all-in-one coffee maker for $91 basically. That does all of the things. Really, actually, all in one. It's the Nespresso you've always dreamed of. It's the espresso maker you've actually always wanted. It's the French press that you've loved as an idea. You can pour it over like normal. You could do all of the things you want to do. Every version of brewing. You can puck it down if you want. Of course, you're gonna have to move that and lift the thing, and then do it like that. A little pat, that kind of thing, right? That it's a thing. You have to do that thing. you're probably gonna need like a different, you know, brew. I mean, you're gonna brew a lot of espresso, bro. This is not. This is gonna hold like up to like fucking 100 grams of coffee. Like you brew a lot of espresso over there. I got the largest basket I've ever seen. I guess just going for 60 grams. I need. What is this? A 1-to-1? I need 60 grams of fucking espresso. Stat. Give it to me now. 1-to-1. Oh, I need the 2-to-1. Oh, 120 grams. Oh god. So, yes. What were we thinking? Okay. For 60 grams. Every time I think about it, 18 grams in, 36 grams out. 2-to-1, 60 grams, 120 grams out. It's a bigger coffee, sure, but it's still not like 250 milliliters. Or I'm sorry, grams. I want like an actual solid cup of coffee. Behold, the brewing basket of extraordinary awesome tudes. Yeah, dude, I went there. I shall do the thing where I brew it in a immersion-like setting. I would then allow for it to only be half the amount, even if it is 9 bars, half the amount of the water I wish for. And then I will shove through large volumes of extra water until I get to 250 milliliters. As it slowly drains the amount of pressure, but I put in more water because it's freshly extracting more of it. I have a high extraction rate. And I probably also need to understand that I probably need to go with a weird, larger, and also what kind of fucking grind size, honestly. You know what I mean? That's what I think about on that one. Because it's like I need it to be on the larger side, but I can't have it actually be that large. You know what I mean? So that's a bit of an odd one to me. Because, like, no, you could absolutely do that. You'd have a great shot at the end of it. That's 250 milliliters. Especially since you have 60 grams. And if you do 3 times 6, that's 180, right? Right. But it's like, if you do an espresso press like kind of idea, then, like, you could do it. Because that's effectively what you're doing. You know what I mean? Now, whoever wants to modify their AeroPress to suddenly have a water inlet, so while I'm forcing in water, I can force in another plunger to force in more water, so I can now put in more extraction while I extract my extraction. Because, yo, dog, I heard you like extractions. Anyway, behold, a new brewing type of technique. It can spin it out, it can do all the things, right? Anything you want. All in one for $91. And it is smaller than my DeLonghi ECP3420, which is good because it's a tiny little fucking thing. It's just a basket, and then there's like that, little small spot for your cup. You know what I mean? Like that's all it's going to be. It's like here's your cup right there. A small little like gap between. It's going to be able to hold up to like 12 ounces. Like big, longer, taller cups, but you know. Not much more than that, and truthfully, it's not really going to do that. And there's a nice little stand to get it up a little closer, but you're probably not going to do that. So then it's like, what are you going to do? I mean, you do have 60 grams. You could do a pour over of a 60 gram. You could do a half style of like a Hario switch, where you do a half of the 60 gram to a liter kind of style, and then you then pour in a brand new amount of extra water as a pour over as it just goes through. I'm on the kick of like no caffeine, and they clog up everything. I hate this. Decaf coffee kind of sucks like that. It clogs everything. Um, I love decaf coffee. Honestly, it can taste amazing, but wow, does it just clog everything, it seems like. So it's like, I made this, so fuck your ass, bitch, clogs. No, fuck your stupid clogs. I hate you. No more clogging ever. Screw your clogs. Damn Dutch with their clogs. Chunk, 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 the whole woods. Anyways, it's not that bad. Point is, I love decaf. It's just it clogs everything, and it doesn't matter how fucking large I grind them. It just clogs. So it's bothering me, and so this was a way to get around that. And as I agitate it and swirled around and all that inside, because that's how that's going to work. Even though there's a cloth there, it'll still go through and still try and push it, right? And it's still going to lift it because it fires forcefully into the bottom, and there's still water there. And so effectively it seeps in from the sides, and it's already trying to move that way, and then it goes in and woof, and then a whole bunch of mixing, which is great. You're going to want that, and then the whole like washing machine tumbleweed, thing. So all the stuff, basically, you're going to want all that stuff, right? Yeah, but that also means fines clump together to the larger, you know, masses, right, of coffee beans. And they still extract because you can do it under types of pressure that'll allow for that. So it'll still get in and then it'll still slowly drain out. And then you can add in new water. Perfect for decaf. That's why the new all-in-one espresso maker concept is a thing. Also, Drew Barrymore, whatever, blah blah. Point is, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna have to put on a different burr for that," and then that is just spraying everywhere. And all you had to do was just literally put it above the basket, for what it's worth, right? And then just have the basket spin a little, and then lift and then spin a little, and agitate itself. And then have it effectively steep like a Hario switch for a little bit, and then just pour some new water in after the switch gets turned off, and it would have worked brilliantly. Like a conical burr that's a hardened steel would have been really easy to make that work, as simple as possible. And so I was like, behold, go fuck yourself. No, $91. It's effectively a bent aluminum thing that's anodized. There's, you know what I mean? Like, it's cheap as fuck. Then this is just placed on top of it. And then the electronics are on the back end of the aluminum covered up. You know what I mean? And then, like, you got the boiler off to the side, effectively. And it's like, here's my cup. Just right there. You know what I mean? Here's my basket. I just pour some fucking coffee right up there. And then, like, why the cloth filter outside of the basket? And it's like, I don't know, man. I'm just sick, I guess. You can totally put it inside of the filter. I'm letting everybody know that. I just hate that because it doesn't go through the filter, the basket filter very easily, and then um that's the main reason why, honestly, because the rest of the supportive structure is essentially the equivalent of it's just a bunch of like how do I put that? They're like dimpled balls with grooves of a helical nature. So like a helical, double helical, but then they're straight line grooves. And it's just a sphere that's there, like a hemisphere, effectively. Because it's already kind of hemispherical-ish for the basket. And then the cloth goes into that. And so like that means as it rotates and it sprays in, it's easier to tumble and follow along for the grooves. Because of course it has to have something to support itself, and it has to have that little nozzle and a valve, effectively, right? And so that valve is very easy to come out at the nipple point, which again, I know it's going to be called a nipple. I know it's going to be called a nipple. It's not it's a valve, but I know it's going to be called a nipple because it's a hemisphere, which is like half a circle, so now it's a nipple. I know how people work. It's a nipple now. It's definitely gonna be called a nipple. So now the nipple gives you the best coffee. But it all drips into one spot, of course, as it's a nice little arrow spike kind of design. It has a little parabolic spike as it goes up, and it comes off these little shoots. Effectively, they're little wave guides. They're like the bell end as it curves outwards from like an hourglass. It kind of flares out, but then it curves back in somewhat towards the arrow spike point, and then that evenly flows and distributes it down to the singular point, looking beautiful as it goes into your cup. And it's also going to look an awful lot like a pointy nipple. So, also, that's a heater part. I know it doesn't sound like it, but that's just going to be a electrically resistive hot part. So it effectively means it's like you can rewarm it at the very last second, along with the hemisphere. Although that hemisphere is a different type of hemisphere. It's a single-walled vacuum, kind of. It is there. That's a sheet of steel, but I still have to put water into this, and so like the water's there, and then I have to, and then like that kind of thing. And so like there's three layers there. There's the water layer in between, and then it's able to be separated by screwing it out, right? And then there's the single wall, right? So and then you have the nipple, and so like that's electrically resistive heated, just because it's like, well, maybe I want it to be 80 when I'm brewing, but I want it to come out at 93. Okay, fine. I can do that. It's okay. No big deal. It's all right. I got you. All good. All right. Now, granted, that usually does mean you tend to brew a little bit more and still extract stuff because there's still stuff that's in there. So maybe that'll be a different type of brewing profile for certain people. I don't know. Because there are the possibilities of getting the astringent compounds. Now, astringent compounds can be broken down into non astringent compounds with the right heat at the right moment. And if you have a little bit of fields, meaning electromagnetic, and some electricity run through, they're more likely to break apart the bonds because it's already hot. Now, it's not ubiquitous across the board, but if I can just slightly reduce some of them, that'll make a sweeter, tastier brew. And of course, it does introduce heat. So fuck it. Why not? It's there. But that one's a whole like, here's some knobs to play with. Whatever. Yeah. Like literally, it's just like on the boiler, it's just some three knobs of the magnetic field and heat and some electricity zaps through it. Fucking whatever, I don't care. Here's your boiler recircular to the pump. Sit there. There's the little fucking off to the side now grinder. You will have to effectively make sure to keep that popped up if you want to tamp it after it's done grinding into it. So there's that. But otherwise, whoopee doo. It's just kind of one of those annoying things. It's like, it's $91. No one's doing this. It's cheap as fuck to manufacture this. All of these parts and components are easy as fuck to source for cheap as hell. It's all metal and some basic ass bitch shit that everybody can make in mass. Cheap. The programming, all of it. They'll be all like, it's so fancy. Here's $5,000 for this bullshit. I'm like, it's like fucking $91, bro. It's $91. There's nothing else. It's 91 bucks. 90, in no way 91. Or unless you are not in America and a lot of other places in the world that do this, although there are a couple of places in America, it is 90.99. Penny off for good behaviors. Oh yeah. It doesn't matter. Trust me. Anyways, it'll look good. It's an anodized black or like a shiny aluminum anodized, or there's the rainbowy iridescent one. That's another anodized, so that's going to cost you more. The standard's white and black. Those would be 90.99. You know what I mean? Or you can get the like more expensive because color, and that takes more manufacturing to do. Here's a titanium one, which is going to massively increase the amount of price, by the way. So because it's titanium, so there's that. Even though it's literally functionally the same, but that's material cost stuff, and sourcing it and having the stuff that bends it and makes it look nice, which costs you money. That's why you have to pay that. Aluminum's easy. Aluminum's easy all day. Same thing with steel. We have tons of shit for steel. Titanium is not as easy. So like, just kind of deal with it, I guess. You know what I mean? Until I sell enough volume, and then it's like, oh, it's back to the same amount. Anyways, then it's like we're not done yet totally, because it's like, here's its bigger brother, the fucking 5-shotter. That's right, for all of you baristas out there that have certain jobs, behold, the 5-shotter. It has all of your needs. It can hold up to 100 grams in every fucking basket. And still have the headroom left over, but you know, that's, you need to be able to steep things and stuff. Like, what are you doing? Anyways, I'm gonna move on. There's 5 in a row. There are steam wands on this one, so there you go. You can milk froth all you want. There's a nice runoff. I don't know why that would happen, but if it does, okay, then there you go. And it's all nice, shiny stainless steel, except for the non-shiny bits, which are nice, matte, ceramic-y, kind of rubber silicone, high-temperature silicone kind of thing, because, like, that's nice, and you don't want to burn yourself. So, you know, there's that. And then you're the one that programs what the which that's easy as fuck. We've had easy as fuck programming, like setting in variables like that for fucking a decade now, man. When we can convert a Gadget apparently into like a $3,000 machine, and they're making you pay that amount of money for that, it's bullshit. So I'm like, there you go. Just plug in what you want out of it. You have your time amount for steeping, the amount of flow rate, the amount of agitation, all that. Those are easy. That's pressure. Agitation is effectively this amount of pressure. So it's more going to be like an engineering kind of thing, where it's like, this is pressure and flow rate, which can mean this amount of agitation, or it could not. You can even pulse it in different sections. Although that's a whole other thing, because it's really pulsing the top versus pulsing the sides versus pulsing individual parts on the side. That's sort of what that would be. It still would work though, to really agitate that. So, but that's, you know, you have to plug that in, and that's flow rate, and there would be this bare minimum and this maximum. And then you have your different amounts that you'll give it, and there's a lot of options. And oh my god, what do I do? Meanwhile, me, it says there in the manual these rough guidelines, but really, truthfully, based upon what in the fuck you're grinding it to, what you have for beans, how old they are, what your fucking water is, what your temperature is, what your actual roast level is. This is all subject to change and not applicable in the slightest. So, you know, deal with that, I guess. Figure it out. Uh, I had to laugh, man, because it's like, really? Come on. What do I know? Really? I mean, I built the thing, but it's like, this could be so massively different depending on so many things. Come on. Anyways, The cloth can then rotate it, well, agitate and undulate between the fines and what's inside of the basket, is what you were wondering what that was about. So as it pulses and agitates from the outside and gets in, this acts as a distributor, kind of like a puck screen slash, espresso filter. And so it'll still go through, but it just won't go through and like big channels and stuff inside, which is good, right? And if the basket was on the inside, it might just rocket through and then up into the top where the other thing is, and not really work very well. So the basket kind of holds it in place, right? So that's all that is. And then there's a bunch of places for all the water to leave. And then, like, already create this nice, cool, swirly down kind of effect as it has channels going straight down, and then a double helix effectively that's offset that heads back towards the bottom. But they're offset and they're, anyways, point is it's not counter rotating, they're rotating the same way. Right, same kind of thing. They're all like a flush or all vortex, whatever. Anyways, point is, but it all heads down, and then it all combines to a nice little arrow spike kind of bell end sort of flowery nipple thing. So I get it. So oh my god. But, still it looks cool. It's gonna look really cool. Like imagine it right now. Just like and it just comes right off the tip into the fucking cup. Like yeah, I love it. Just it's flowing nicely. It's nice and centered. It's nice and laminarlistic. You know what I mean? With like a nice boundary. Like, it doesn't stay on the thing. It's got a nice like low amount of hydro force. So it's hydrophobic basically. You know what I mean? So there's that. It also happens to vibrate a little bit at the end because it's just to make sure it comes off, and it's a whole other thing. But behold, it's the end of the all-in-one. And it's like, how does we have vibrators. Go to any adult sex toy shop in the world, man. We have vibrators. Just get out of here. Shoo. Actually, this is going to be an oscillator ultrasonic. So it's like it has an ultrasonic frequency with a double oscillator. So a longer pulse, meaning a larger, longer wavelength, and then a medium oscillation, which that then culminates to a large amount of nothing sticks to the damn thing. It's already hydrophobic anyways. So it's like, what is that? Because lipids and other compounds of the organic variety still stick to this, maybe. And I don't want that. So, nah. Meanwhile, it's doing that while it's pouring out. So that way, the boundary layer problem is not really apparent. Behold, it creates a small Leidenfrost effect that is kind of a vapor, but it's really a hydrostopic vacuumish kind of a thing. It's a vacuum, right? And that means it comes off really rather quickly, easily, succinctly, and beautifully with a lot of laminar flow with low friction. Super easy to clean too because it's a cone effectively. So, and then all of it's separatable. Even the boiler can be descaled. It's screw out and pop it off, and brushy, and screw back on, and some connectors to the switches, which aren't really switches, but that's all that is. You know what I mean? Like if you've ever plugged in anything to anything, what is that? Like into the wall socket, then you can do this. It's not that hard. Make sure you unplug the machine, but like that goes without saying, it seems. Some people don't do that, but the tag's there, lots of tags, lots of warnings. So maybe do that. There's still lots of protection, breaker, switchy, trippy things, so on, right? And then, no, we're not really fully done because I said so. So deal with it. Remember that heat spreader? Remember like the tip can be heat, right? Remember that? It's stainless steel, right? Wait, what? Yeah, it's a little plate thing, right? Pump and that, is it right? Electrically resistive heating. Yay! There we go. Someone already knew. Electrically resistive heating. That's right. I can have it at this heat, or I can have it soak into that, or I can have it be even hotter. I can do a lot of things. You don't need to. You might want to. Maybe it'll work for you. It's nice to have. That's all that's about. Maybe you want to warm it up after it's already at like maybe 80°C. And then it's like, no, I want to get up to 85 as I build up pressure and agitate it. And then I want to get it all the way up to 93 at the very end as I have it pour out. There we go. Now you understand where I come from on that. Something that is programmable easily, because there's some knobs and some buttons that change different options that are in the program. Yeah, it's just programmable. Yeah, that's easy as fuck to do, honestly. That is so easy. It is not hard. I mean, I honestly speaking, it's not in any way. We literally have these already. It's a pump. It's electrically resistive. It's like, here's a thermal fucking goddamn thermometers. This area is being the thermometered. It says it is about this hot. Pump more heat into it by using this electricity, using the voltage ampoules. Until no more is it not that hot. Have this polling rate of about 1,000 hertz. So that way you know the moment it could possibly be this hot. Have a slight delay as it agitates and spreads and diffuses. So that way you make sure that it is indeed this hot. Lie in wait with capacitors and then dump them off into the boiler. There's a pump if necessary. Simple circuit designs. Easy to do. Super cheap, very simple, not difficult at all. Beheard, $91. Because if you think Drew Barrymore's thing was like in any way complicated, it's not. And I'm doing effectively the same thing. It has a fucking clock on it. I'm like, well, this has a brew later and a clock too. But you don't hear me fucking say anything. You're the one that sets the amount of grams you want. You're the one that sets the amount of water and grams you want. Because it has a fucking gram, scale in it. You're the one that chooses everything. A pump, flow, it's going faster now. Super easy, very cheap. Super cheap and easy. This is like nothing. I can literally build a basic ass bitch robot to make this. Just fucking get assembled in mass cheaply with like no electricity practically. We just go get a Stirling engine real fast and then put some heat over here and a little bit of electricity and oh, what do you know? Boom. Oh no, my volume is so massive. I must stoke designs of the demand variety and market. Behold, the market will eat this up. It is brand new. They are jonesing for the brand newest of the easiest thing to get into. I don't have to do anything. I just plug this. Some people said that this would probably work. 60, roughly this kind of thing. I brew it like this. It steeps like that. It comes out like this. It's a pour over. Like a high switch like kind of thing. Oh, wow. Sure. How does it spin? If it's vibrating, what do you think it's fucking resting on, you fucking dick? There's a goddamn fucking cloth on the bottom and the outside. The top part. That is correct, which means there are rollers. There's a basket. It can go up. It spins up because this thing called threading. And then it rolls and spins and goes backwards and forwards. Behold, washing machines do this one trick. I guess you didn't like it. The hubless design, if you will. Thank you, you know. This person must be a smart one out there, you know? So difficult. It's not, though. You know? Yeah, but see, that's the thing. I'm not going to be using a standard bearing type. I don't like to use roller bearings, ball bearings. They're cylinder bearings. That's right. With little like lips, like a little flared out lip. So that way it can roll into and then stay into where it needs to. But that's just a little servo that goes and twists, and then it goes off into that, and then it twists and then it goes back down. And it'll change the rotation instead of the bearing, which is what we're talking about. We're talking about the input of rotation, which is again, like, behold, how have you not thought about this before? Any frictional surface onto those fucking things. If it's flared out, uh, here's some fucking, like, I don't know, silicone, high temperature bearing. In no way, but it's just a rotating fucking electric motor, effectively. And then I can just seal it from that, you know what I mean? So, like, it'll never come out those sides at all, even for the cylinder bearing types in the basket and so on. You know what I mean? It's fully sealed, like sealed. Okay. I don't need any of this grease though. That's the thing. But that's like, you know how baseballs get launched from these like tires? Because one of them's rotating really fast. Well, imagine if I only needed the one thing to really kind of rotate, just the one. But what if I didn't want just one? I wanted, like, let's say it was 12, because I'm weird like that. And I'm not going to do 12. But let's say it was. Let's just say it was. It's like, where are these bearings? Oh, the other thing, the thing that's the thing that it sits inside of. Yes, the thing it sits inside of. See, the basket's sitting inside of a conical cylinder, which has bearings on the top and the bottom. Those can then slot into grooves and travel up. I have to explain if I can't have gears work. You remember the basket is shaped like that? Remember the whole, is it like a little roundy and then a flare and then all that thing, right? Yeah. All right. So like that then means that's going to hook into where this little like, clamping thing is. Remember that? Because that's a seal, right? right? Like that means it's clamped to that. The bearing of the outside cylinder is there, and it can go up and it can go down because while that rotates, something else can move it up. That's a bearing. That's a cylinder bearing. Because it doesn't really matter how quickly it goes up, it's never going to really wear out. Because it's effectively in a fluid. It's hydraulic fluid, it's a lubricant. It's not supposed to slide. Wheel bearing person. Oh, okay. Not supposed to slide. Yeah. You mean like these things that are used on fucking 4,000-pound vehicles and it needs to move a dinky little fucking basket? That it's literally being lifted up with hydraulic fluid and not rubbing against anything? That's right. It's getting lifted up with hydraulic fluid and not rubbing against anything. And so this dinky little 4,000-pound somehow magically basket is fucking totally gonna wear out so fast. Behold, I have to explain how bearings and gears work. Do you know how, like, this thing called the 2JZ engine happens to do a variable valve timing where it increases its timing? It uses hydraulic fluid as it rotates faster, the crank. And then it happens to alter and change. It lifts something up and then it changes its gearing such that it will now ultimately lift the valve sooner to allow air in for a scavenge effect during the exhaust stroke to gain more air mass flow that happens to sustain conservation of momentum, which then pressurizes the cylinder and then gives you more air at higher RPM. Well, instead of doing all of that, I just need it to go up and then lock back in and go spin, 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 agitate. So, if you don't know that, it's fine. I just needed to go, oh, and then it goes over to, and that's it. There's less pressure, and then more pressure down here, and go whoop. And there's a space in between, and whoop, went up. Okay, and magically, the pressure went away because we don't have pumps or anything. Really? Do you hear yourself? Do you hear yourself? Jeez, fuck. Anyways, and then I do actually use 6, but I wanted to use only 4. But it's like for redundancy purposes, if 2 were to fail, you still have 4, which is evenly distributing most of that pressure. 6 will evenly distribute it quite a bit more, but of course these are just like little moving rollers. Effectively, they're effectively cylinder. They're kind of like tires, basically, but they're not really tires. You see, they're on the outside of that little cylinder that moves up and down. Right? Instead of like pinching that little thing, it's at the top and at the bottom, and so like those can then rest it very evenly and then spin it on both sides, which is much easier to do. But remember this the hemisphere part? That's a lot bigger than you think. Like it can actually hold like a solid 750 liters. I mean, not 750, 750 milliliters, not liters. There's an M there. But yeah, can you imagine? Holy, oh my god! Wow, this is the largest tank I've ever seen for the underground copy. Woo! Okay. This will totally work. You just gotta spin harder. Spin harder. It'll work if you just spin harder. If you're not getting all those solids, the extraction's gotta be solid. Get down here. Anyways, so 750 milliliters, and then you still have the ability to flow through more, right? But it's meant for the idea that, like, that's an often how it's supposed to be used. Put it under some pressure. It's immersion brew. It agitates itself. It spins a little bit, and then you put a 250 milliliter in. But I say a third to a half because that seems to saturate it quite significantly and agitates it. And then, like, you got a fresh new thing to extract it. Instead of going all the way up to 9 bar, perhaps, maybe you do want to do that. But basic atmosphere would probably be fine, or maybe a little bit above to help it pass all those, nice coffee juices without all of this decaf fine clogging mess that annoys me so much. Right? Like, that's the whole hope on this one. And that is it. It has a reservoir um that's at the other side. So that's this the boiler side, and then this is the reservoir side. But it's really technically not. It's really kind of just there to balance it. You don't need, like, you don't. I mean, you pour it into the boiler really, but it's like there's a little reservoir and it's a nice little balance, and it'll pump it over if it needs it. But, like, you don't really need it, and so whatever, because that'll hold like fucking 5 liters of fucking water off to one side. This is, shockingly why that's such a weird boiler recirculator. It's like, why isn't that in the rear? The main reason why, because people don't actually know what the front is. Like, if you look at it, it's like, oh yeah, there's this overhang, and you seemingly are supposed to put it right there, right? And it's like, no, 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 they just shift it off to the side every freaking time. And so the reservoir is right there, and it's like I can see the nipple now, because, like, the front basically makes sure you can't see it. It's like it's got this nice little overhang. It's all understated. It looks all nice and avant-garde, right? Yeah, it's got this nice little flares. Yeah, it's literally just a bend. I just like, yeah, with some, fucking shit, and bent it a little bit. It's almost like an umbrella, but except it flares out, just a little bit more, and then, like, kind of like a. Anyways, moving on. Uh, just because it's easy. It's like I just press it and then I squeeze, and then I heat, and then, like, oh, it pops out just like that, huh? Wow, that was fucking fast and cheap as fuck. Wow, and it's really nice and strong because it's bent and shaped like that. Shockingly, geometrically speaking, yeah. Meanwhile, the other side, it balances itself out. It's a little weirdly symmetrical and asymmetrical at the same time, right? And then it's like, oh yes, 5 liter tank. And, like, I want to see the nipple. Show me that nipple. I don't want this little overhang eyelashy umbrella kind of thing that's like a flower too. That's skewering my nipple enjoyment. I want to see that nipple. God damn it. It was like I was trying to hide that from the front, but nobody ever really seen it. They always seem to turn it over to the side. It's a small little, tank with a reservoir. It holds about a liter, but it's not much. It's really more just kind of like a slight kind of like a saddlebag almost, or it's like flared out at the bottom, and it's kind of thinner at the top. And a nice little brass, kind of knob, and then you pour it in. And it's got a little funnel, right? And it comes from the knob, so it's like you screw the knob off, and then, like, you pop this thing, and then you effectively just kind of screw. Well, pop off the. That's a good way to put that. It's like a slide, effectively. Yeah, because like it needs to be held by something. So it's like you screw the slide, then you pull it out, and it pops kind of like that. And then it's like, oh, I have a funnel now, and it's quite big. And it's nice. It makes it much easier to put a whole liter of water. And oh, by the way, it's really cool because you can see the water fill level right there. And then also, by the way, it has nice, aesthetically pleasing lines of the saddlebagish variety. Which it's not glass, it's not aluminum, it is stainless steel. Yeah, because it's super easy to just bend some sheet steel and then pressure form it after a little welding. Yeah, it's just a little pressure forming, and then it's like, oh yeah, it looks pretty nice. I gotta admit, it's got a nice little tang and twang to it. And it's like, how is there a pressure form? Yes, how is there a pressure form? Well, the old story goes, it's called plastic. Was apparently invented. And I was all like, yeah. And I didn't like that. But other people did. I didn't like it. And so I was all like, well, this is a flat fucking plane of glass. I'll just shove it there. This is a flat spot. And here's some, and now it's connected. It's Brasilit, of course. It's glass, yes. Everything's food safe. Never gonna like break down from water or even alcohol stuff. But if you got good acids, like strong boiling sulfuric piranha acid, it would break it down. Or alkalines that are essentially another version of that. So don't do those though. The coffee is not going to taste very good either. So don't do that. But anyways, it's recessed effectively. Remember the pressure form thing? Well, there's another type of steel block that's like shaped in a way that allows for this to then effectively have this press fit, and so we kind of bolt sort of ish. It's like a stud ish thing. It's recessed on the thing, but glass doesn't like it very much, and so you have to shape the glass, and it's a flat glass piece, but if you heat it up and then you squeeze it into a mold and it's kind of warm, pretty cheap again, it then like forms, um, well, around that, right? And it's got some pressure relief bendy parts on it now. And then if you put in some of this high temperature silicone gasket material that is food safe and really unreactive to basically everything, then it squeezes just fine and remains pretty resilient uh, to any leaks permanently, practically. I haven't had any issues. But perhaps I'm just a weirdo that didn't think it through. Maybe leave in the comments if I didn't manage to come up with a really great solution for that. Uh, the inside of the steel is a rainbow iridescent shiny ass fucking show. That's because I anodized this steel, which is actually kind of easy to do. And I also shocked it a little bit, and some electroplating effectively occurred. And now, with some laser, apparently they're fairly cheap these days, little uh, fiber optic lasers from China can put on steel and aluminum different color effects depending on the depth and how you carve into them. Well, rainbow shiny iridescent of the holographic fractal variety. And then you have water and one window in which to look into, which, yes, you will not be surprised. It does look like an eye. It looks like an eye. Yeah, it's a vertical eye still. And so it's vaguely like a nipple below that eye, giving you fresh coffee, which seemingly might be almost, if you were to look at it correctly, like an anus. And then there's a healthy kind of bulge there, like a vagina's vulva, where the eye is. That's right. That's what that is. There are no LEDs except for where the cap is, which only will activate if you screw it on, which gives you a pulsing white, red, and blue and green color scheme that shifts for all of your nice viewing pleasure. You can turn it on. You program it to turn on now or at these times or any of that. No, it definitely looks more like an eye, I'll have to admit, than like a vagina. But like because it's ovaloid eye shape, it certainly does look somewhat like that. Although the bending out pressure forming of the steel block I had to have, of course, helps the effect, which is something. Um, and then that's it really. So that's all that is. But people apparently really want to see the runny brown liquid come out the bottom to see that nipple every time. Meanwhile, I prefer the eyelash thing, umbrella kind of flare, kind of thing. It's really small. Like you don't really maybe understand. The saddle is nice to balance it. 'Cause it's a huge fucking thing. Again, metric. I keep laughing at it because like 5 fucking liters. Fucking large at it. Oh god, I do though. That's the thing. I absolutely do. I'm fully well aware. That's why there's a top there that's shaped like that. I have to fucking put this 750 milliliter fucking hemisphere down here. There's gonna be a liter over there. There's no, there's a whole fucking like depth here that I gotta fucking fill. And then there's like this small cup area. You know what I mean? It fit tall glasses and fairly decently wide glasses, but still, it's that. Like, that's what you get. It's like this side's a no-go. You can't come in from that side. You can kind of come in from that other side, but you really only got the one straight shot here. Eh. Meanwhile, here's the cheap as fuck $52 design that is literally just a straight three bent aluminum piece, a full 3 liter, one side 1 liter, one reservoir 1 liter, and then a reservoir at the top that's spread kind of like a U shape liter, and then here's some electronics over here off to the front and off to the rear, so on, and the pump side, and that's the plug thing. Meanwhile, the plug thing comes in at the bottom and then it spreads from the circuitry at the bottom for the other one that's $91. I felt like $91 encompasses that quite well, aesthetically, design wise. Truthfully, I was like, I don't think you guys want to know what's on that side. Meanwhile, the memes just write themselves. Like I tell you, every time. It's marketing genius, madness, asymmetrical, symmetrical at the same time. Avant-garde, all the things, man. Abstractism with the fucking oh my god. Symbolic natures and metaphorical stupid fucking shit. You know what I mean? But it's like, I didn't really want to go that far for what it's worth. I know, like, no, no, no. I mean, that's what like the big thing, right? Like, that's what. No, fucking no, no, no. It's been three pieces. It's a fucking 3 liter, but it's literally like just that. It's not 52. It's $91. Except I did put in like the fucking like rainbowy, shimmery effect across all of it, right? And then there is just the fucking like basic. Hey, here's the water fill level there. But that's more of a bobber thing than anything else. Yeah, because that's way easier. Like all of this, it's like, yeah, I know it's cheap, and then like, oh, I can see now. Eh. I don't like it, personally, design wise. It's sure it'll work, it'll sell like hotcakes, but like, eh, it's not me. So it's just like, oh right, then the little bin part, and then like this, and then it's more like a kind of another type of other hemisphere that kind of connects to the bottom one, right? And so that way it looks more like the world sort of a situation, and it's a shimmery, kind of halo-y sort of effect, which is nice. I prefer it personally than the other one. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, go fuck yourself, really? I mean, I'll sell it. Sure, that's another $91 for that one. I'm sure it'll sell. But this is the main one. This is actually the real one I'd be putting out first. Like, this is the real one. Here you go. It's got basically 3 liters spread out throughout all of it. It's got a couple pumps, but it's really just the one that does a lot of the work. But it's still what it is. Yeah, and then that's to move water around, but also to possibly pump and then move a lot more pressure and flow much more easily and more consistently. And then it's able to be heated, and all the rest of it that I talked about from the start is still there and very much what I'm doing. And yeah, the cup it's really just like a nice mirror bottom and then side, and then like, remember the hemisphere thing? Like, well, I kind of wanted to try and have like a little bit of a you know yeah, kind of like a brim of a hat sort of situation, just to like, be able to angle and frame things really nicely. And it allows you to see this effect that's really, really cool with the mirror and the light that comes off. It gives you the shadows of pressure differences, along with it reduces steam. That's going to get in the way of you seeing the beautiful shit that you want to see. And so, and then also allows for a nice shimmering color effect. So IRs are being constructively interfered into a higher wavelength that you can see as red and or blue depending, which is really nice. And so you get this shimmery red and blue effect for your heat and steam and pressure. It's very trippy because, of course, it's a rainbow holographic-y, fractally iridescent pattern that's all around it. Even though it's just an overhang, and there's a little bit of a, right, it's a hemisphere overhang kind of thing, right? But like, it's supposed to look cool. Like, you'd want it. It's aesthetically supposed to look really cool. And so instead of it's just black, man, it's like, well, it's black, but it's a little bit more rainbowy and shimmery than you think. It's got some depth to it. And sure, it's anodized or whatever, but you know, trying. Same thing with my white one, which is that one's cool. Dicks. Why you gotta be mean? Ugh, you're putting effort here, bastards. There's multi layers of like lenses and some mirrors and some fiber optics that I cleverly placed in this. which I just like squished together under the right heat and conditions to make this thing do that with the other depth of field mirror types that are there at the stand, which like no one's doing that. It's just really, oh, it's not even that cool. Screw you, you know. But $91, there you go. And yes, it is a overhangy kind of sphere thing. It's kind of trying to represent like how like the earth is kind of melting down. You know what I mean? Like the earth is like, what we live on, but it's melting down. Like it drips and it overhangs off into what is effectively the hemisphere, right? Which is not meant to look like a teat. I know, I get it, but still, it's the fact that it's this wonderful shiny ball of awesome, and it's getting melted down. You know what I mean? And it looks cool. It's great, but and I love the coffee. You know what I mean? And it's not about the coffee doing that, but there's a bit of that that goes on because, of course, it's resource intensive, and I love coffee, but it's what it is. And same thing for the energy you're using and to make the damn thing and all the rest of it. And so it's like I don't want to play fucking pretend like I don't know what the fuck's going on. Here you go. Have fun. You know. So anyways, that is the actual end. Suck my dick and balls. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification and share. Have a wonderful day. I hope you had a wonderful journey listening to all of this. And if you fell asleep or whatever it is that you do when you listen to this, you had a good time. See ya.